haunting, deeply personal, horrifying, and inspirational. That's how a book by a local author is being described. He is Roberts Essex. He's joining us. The book is called Chance Beginnings, and I can't wait to hear about this story because you are from the Savannah area. The story is centered around this area, so we're going to learn a lot about your time here and what you've learned from it. So let's start by you introducing yourself to our audience.
Okay, Roberts Essex, Savannah native. I grew up East Savannah and lived here for 35 years.
And the story is called Chance Beginnings.
That's right.
And in the it reflects your life and what happened during your life, but the character has another name.
That's correct. A memoir, if you will. With the exception that we changed the names throughout the book. We didn't want to embarrass anyone or hurt anyone's feelings. There's some things that are kind of telling with this character's story and the people he meets and runs into and works with. And so, but everything in it is true.
And this is the first book you've ever written, and it's going to be the first of 3.
That's correct. That's correct.
So what do we learn in this story? And it, as I mentioned, is considered deeply personal. What inspired
what we
it?
learn in this story is that faith is more than just your belief in God and what you learn from the Bible. Faith is your ability to interpret that and put it to use when you're growing up, living and learning how to survive in this world. And so what we learn in this is that this country boy, this child that was born in the country and raised in the city, has 2 sets of values he has to maintain for at least the first 3 decades of life as this book goes through. And his adventures place him, starting off with, in the 60s when the world is just in chaos everywhere. He really, as a young boy, doesn't realize that because he lives in a bubble in East Savannah in a little place called Avondale, which is his Mayberry. And so much of the story starts off with that. In fact, I've had people a little bit critical of the fact that we start off with a rather lengthy introduction, giving you some background. My feeling was if you don't know what's going on around, you can't relate to how simple life is where he's starting to grow up in his childhood. And then, of course, when he gets into his 20s and gets into life into the city, he's a police officer, he's a paramedic, he does radio, he does all kind of things. We roll through that life through the most part of the book, and then we get to the point to where he's really tested through a bad marriage, and then there's a problem in the end that we kind of leave hanging a little bit.
So why did you decide to write the book then? What point did you get in your life where you thought, I need to share this story with other people? What made you want to do that?
I love that question because I never would have considered it, even though when I started going back to school in my late 30s because of a problem with a bad divorce, I realized I needed to start my life over. And so when I got back into college, here's this guy who in the 12th grade, my English teacher used to have this class stand up and applaud because I showed up for class. But yet, when I got back into college, I wound up being an English honors major. So I learned how to.
And now you've written a book.
And now I've written a book. So I learned how to write there. And then I'm a practicing physician assistant now, so I've written professionally through certain journals. And so as I watched movies like Midnight in the Garden, and I read John Benoit's book, and then I saw J.D. Vance do the Hillbilly Elegy, and then the Kingdoms of Savannah, which was Grimes, I think, was his name, the author. I thought to myself, I could tell a story like this about Savannah in a different light. It's not about murder. It's not about high society. It's about the simple life in Savannah and a real person who evolved with the city. And so this is all Savannah. This is all Savannah. And we really think the people here will really appreciate it and love it.
Well, you said at one point you decided, okay, I got to go back to school. You had a bad divorce. Things were happening to you at that time. We all go through experiences in our life where we have to stop and go, okay, I got to do something differently.
That's right.
What made you get up and make that change and say, I really have to do something different now?
Like I said, there was a failed marriage, 13 years attempted. It went south, and then an event happened where we changed locations, moved to a different part of the country, trying to stay together. A baby was brought in, and then it just all fell apart. A disastrous event that just threw my life into complete chaos. And from there, I realized I needed to do something to correct my ways. It was actually a godsend. I am a faithful man. I prayed about it a great deal. And the message was, if you want to evoke change, you have to make it. So from there, I realized it's time to go back to school because I'm going to have an income that's going to be acceptable and appropriate enough to take care of my child.
So our viewers are hearing that from your book, they're going to learn about different challenges that have happened in your life and how you overcame them and how maybe it can inspire them. But also you're going to have the stories of Savannah and the lifestyle of Savannah tied into all of that.
That's right. You will, I can say this with confidence, you will feel it. You'll smell the oak trees. You'll smell the small blossoms from the moss. You will experience Savannah as it was in the 60s and the 70s and places we all ate and hung out with each other in all over the city.
Roberts, would you mind sharing one of the stories from Chance's childhood or your childhood that's in this book that really stands out to you?
Sure. Just like I mentioned that this was his Mayberry, there was a barber like Floyd from Mayberry, except in Chance's case, it was George, and he had a shop right around the corner from where they lived. Well, little Chance used to love to go there and get his haircut. They actually had an ordeal that when he would go and sit in the chair, George would treat him just like a grown man. So he expected to not only get the sheet covering him up, but he had to have his hair washed, and he had to have his hair cut, and then he would have to have the special smell sauce that he called it, that George would put on men's hair. And every once in a while, George would even take out a fake razor and act like he was giving him a little shave. But as he went to leave, the ordeal was always the same. He would wait until George would give him a penny, and he'd walk down the little pathway to the store at the end of the corner where he'd get him a piece of grape bubble gum.
Aww.
And on this one particular day, Mom's missing Chance. She can't find him. He's not in the house anyplace. He's not in the yard anyplace. And so she goes, you know what? He better not be. And she walks down the corner and around to the shop, and there he is sitting in the chair with George, and they're just having a day. And she just watches for a minute, and they go through their ordeal. And after a while, Chance gets up to walk out, and he sits, and he sits, and he sits. And George finally says, "What are you waiting for? You better go home." He's like, "You didn't give me my penny yet." And that takes him down to get his piece of grape bubble gum. It's a lot more lengthy in that and a lot more descriptive throughout the book, but it's a favorite story.
I'm sure it's going to be very nostalgic for a lot of our viewers, too.
Most of the viewers and most of the readers, hopefully, that viewers that turn into readers, I might add, will be quite nostalgic as they read through this. Like I said, I want them to feel it, smell it, taste it, and be there as they're reading.
Well, it's getting some good reviews. I saw on Amazon it was like 4.6 stars out of 5. So that's really nice.
We love that. We love that.
And you already have 2 other books in the works, as I've mentioned. Where are you in those, and what can we learn from those books?
The next one is about ready to be teased out. It'll be called The Search. It picks up from where book 1 ends, and it discusses the issues over the next couple of years of Chance's life, the troubles he's having as we left it off at the end of the first book. I'll just leave it at that, because if I say what's going on, it's too much.
We'll have to just keep following the story then.
That's right.
All right, and where can our audience get your book then?
You can get it on Amazon.com, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. It's all over the internet. And they can go to our site. We have author robertsessex.com and robertsessexbooks.com.
All right, anything else you would like to say to our viewers who are watching today?
Sometimes the road intended is not always the one traveled.
All right, very nice. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.